situation with Jordan Abdul's injury?
So Jordan, so at this stage, we need to get a more tests done on him, but it'll be a minimum of 12 weeks. So
Wow.
Yeah. So we're looking to see whether he needs an operation, which the operation's probably, it's still around sort of 16, 17 weeks. So if he doesn't need the op, it probably cuts the injury or the return by about 4 or 5 weeks. But we're looking at a minimum 12 weeks. He's done some damage to his tendon in his hamstring.
Well, that's taking it pretty close to the end of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it is. So you look at something with Jordan. It's been a sort of trend. He spoke to us the other day around this sort of part of the year. So, what we need to do is look further into his body and reasons behind it, and if that means sending him away somewhere after the season or even during his rehab, just to find out a little bit more around his body and getting that right. But that's where it's at the moment.
It's a huge blow for you, isn't it?
It is, mate. Absolutely. I mean, George was obviously man of steel, or up there with man of steel early on in the season for a long period there. He was a massive reason why we went on that run with his game management and his end of sets finishes. So, we're going to miss him. But what it does, again, it gives an opportunity to Rowan Miles, who Rowan had a sensational preseason, and then he's had the few games that he's played. He's played well, so he'll be ready to step up again.
Let's turn to Sam Wood, because the fears were that he dislocated his knee and his wrist. Have those fears come to fruition?
Yeah, probably a little bit worse, to be honest, mate. He's looking at about 3 or 4 months on the sidelines as well. So there was more damage to the knee than we thought. So yeah, he's another one, mate. He's 3 or 4 months, which is another blow, because Sam's done a great job for us. Whenever he's gone in, he's really talkative, and he's got a really good football brain in our meetings, and he's great to have around the place, Sammy. So it's another blow there for us. But we're going through a tough period, Willem, at the moment. Injuries, you always look within first, and sometimes you just have bad luck, rugby league injuries, and a lot of those are the case at the moment, where it's just teams go through it. But what we need to do is we need to work together and get through the other end and just control what we can control, and that's doing our own job and doing it the best we can. So,
Sam, it could be that he's played his last game for you, couldn't it?
Mate, it could be. Yeah, it could be. I hope not, because, as I said, Sam's, he's a popular figure in the club, and he's played well for us each time. The reason why Sam's not with us next year is because Sam Wood wants to be that starting centre, and good luck to him, mate, because he's Sam's a good player and he's a good person. We couldn't promise that to him, and I didn't want to promise something we couldn't deliver. So that's why he's moving on next year. Hopefully it's not his last game.
Can you give us an update into Lachlan Coote? And it must be worrying that he had 3 HIAs and concussions last season, and already he's racked up 2 this season. What's the situation with him?
Yeah, so he's going for ongoing. He's got to see a specialist. I think it's the 20th, so not far away. But he's going through some stages at the moment that he's got to get through. But obviously, mate, it's going to be a decision with Lachlan, which I said last week that he has to make. And that decision may be made for him, with specialists and things like that. But it's a decision for him and his family that he needs to make. But as I said, someone like Lachlan, I don't think he needs to prove anymore. If we would obviously struggle as a team and as a club not having Lachlan in our team in terms of performances, because he's the way Lachlan is around our place and what he's done in the game, he's a key figure for our team. But health comes first. There's no doubt about that. His health comes before anything, and that's a decision that he'll have to make in the next sort of couple of weeks. But again, mate, it's not good. That one's a lot more sensitive issue, isn't it? Because it's a head knock of the amount that he's had. So it's a little bit different to the others.
Yes, indeed. I mean, that played a big part in his decision to retire at the end of the season. Are you looking at the possibility of him bringing that retirement forward and maybe calling it a day, dependent upon what the specialist has to say?
Yeah, again, that's something Lachlan would have to decide. But there's no doubt Gwilym, that's a possibility. There's no doubt that would be a possibility. We haven't had, we've had a lot of communication, a lot of talks at the moment, but sort of the last 5 to 6 days is just letting him be. He was obviously talking to his wife and family, so about what it looks like. There's no pressure at our end, except we'll support him no matter what. But potentially, Lachlan could retire, but that's not the case at the moment. So it's a decision that will be made in the next couple of weeks. And if he wants to go on, we support that. But obviously, we'll be looking at everything, in terms of his health and whether it's worth him going on. But at the moment, mate, it's with Lachlan.
Yeah, I mean, when I spoke to him earlier, he said that life after rugby league and his family has to come first, and that will be the dimensions about what his decision will be overall, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. He's a family man first, and he's got a lot of years ahead of him, outside the game. So it's as I say, mate, it's a decision. He knows, or has got an idea of what he wants to do, post rugby league, and he certainly wouldn't have planned to start that now. That's for sure. So it's not as if it's a decision that if he does finish now, he's going straight into something. Or for me, as I say, the key for him is to take a breath and just sit back and weigh it all up. But again, mate, his health comes first. He's done everything in the game. We admire what he's done. We're fully supportive of him, and we'll just wait and see how that pans out.
How's James Bachelor with his head come neck knock?
It's another one, isn't it, mate? So he's in a brace at the moment. So the good news is, like, the symptoms are easing. That he had tingles initially and that type of thing. So he's obviously going to specialists and people that's obviously can give better information than I can give, or our physios and doctors internally. But they're looking after him. At this stage, it's probably 6 weeks in the brace, and then after that, then obviously you need to strengthen his neck. But there's no timeline in terms of when he'll be back. I can't give you, that's sort of just a rough estimate until he goes to specialists to get a better idea of when that brace would come off. But I'm sort of thinking it's around 6 weeks.
Okay. And you've got a bit of a doubt over Dean Hadley as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so Dean's had a wrist issue. We're hopeful, Dean will be named in the team this week, so we're hopeful that'll be okay getting through this week. But he's had an issue with his wrist.
I think he's had that before, hasn't he?
Mate, he's probably had a few. He's the way he plays, he's wholehearted. So he's a tough bugger as well. So there's no doubt, the worrying thing when he goes down and that something's wrong, because he actually didn't go. He kept playing through the game, didn't he? So, but mate, we're hopeful to get him back. We missed him last week. I always talk about his effort areas and how hard he competes, and that's what he brings to the team. So we missed that last week. Right.
Okay. Let's turn to the ones that might be back. Is Rowan Miles fit and raring to go?
Yeah, he's on track. So he trained with us today, which was pleasing. Looks sharp, ready to go. So he's, as I said before, mate, he's waiting for an opportunity to be able to put a few games together. He had that at the back end of last year, and it was all learning for him. He went through some highs, went through some lows. Had a really strong preseason with us, and then the games that he's played, he's competed hard and he's getting his groove. But what he needs is some ongoing. He needs a block of games to be able to develop and improve and run this team similar to what Jordan did. And that's what Rowan brings. He's similar in that aspect in terms of organising a team, running a team. He's definitely improving that in that area. And I suppose the big part for me that I can see is that the belief that he's got in himself from where he is now to where he was when I first arrived at the club. He's definitely growing as a player and as a person, that's for sure.
Well, he'll have a big second half to the season if he can keep fit, won't he? Because with Jordan being out for the time that he's out, then it looks as though, with a fair wind, it will be Mikey Lewis and Rowan Miles as your halfback combination, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. They've done it before. Previously, last year they spent a lot of time together. They have spent a lot of time together, even during this year pre-season. So it's not new, but yeah, that's what Rowan wants. He wants to be playing Super League level. Like, we put him on loan to go to Wakefield. Like, you know, he's a Super League player, and just to get more games under his belt. You know, he's done what he's needed to do at training. Now it's just a matter of putting in the games again, and he's going to be key to us this weekend.
Well, you've got a 2-week loan for the young Catalan Dragons French international, Tangay Zenon. You don't bring him in without chucking him in. And there's no point in bringing him from the south of France to be sat on the bench or watching from the stands. So I guess he plays, does he, at the weekend?
Yeah, I'd say he would play. That's what we're going to bring him over. We'll just have to have a look at the team the back end of the week. But you know, he's a young talent. He's going to be a good player down the track. There's no doubt about that. So we wanted to bring you know, someone in that. Well, I'd seen him play early in the year against Warrington and Wakefield. He's definitely a talent. He's a confident kid, which is what we need. We need someone to come in and you know, take advantage of the opportunity that's been presented. Catalans have been awesome to deal with. You know, Steve Mack and Alex Chan have been really great to deal with. So he's a good kid. He's come in, he's settled in to the environment over this morning. So now it's just about him going out and executing and doing what he does and just playing some rugby. Yeah, you've got to keep it simple for him and just let him go.
Can I ask a slightly strange question, but it's about communication? Does he actually speak English well enough to be able to communicate?
He does. So when I first got told that he didn't speak English too well, and then I actually said to the players, I said, you know, obviously talking about that he was coming over and then he didn't speak, you know, English well. And then when he's come in, they're like, wow, he speaks well, he's good. And so I said, yeah, undersell and over deliver. That was the message. So he, yeah, no, he's fit in, mate. Like we caught up with him last night, had some dinner with him. He communicates, you know, well in terms of English and the way he knows about the game. He knows, you know, we did some video with him this morning. Understands it. Naturally, if you're speaking French, it'd be a lot easier for him. But we've got our strength and conditioning coach Jimmy, who come with us last night for some dinner with him, and didn't need to translate too much because his English was good enough. Probably couldn't understand me, but that's okay.
I'm not going to make any comment on that whatsoever, Willie. But I know it's initially for a 2-week period, but given the uncertainty about Lachlan Coote and Willie or won't he continue to play, is there an option to extend that?
Possibly, mate. We're looking at obviously this weekend and then what next weekend looks like as well. You know, we've got Jack Walker that's obviously can come back as well the week after. So like everyone, mate, you know, he's got to go up and perform this week and play well, and then he'll be in contention for the week after. So, you know, I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid. He's only a young kid. But as I said, he's a talent, and he's going to be good for the Catalans down the track. There's no doubt about that. So hopefully he comes in this weekend and does a job for us, which, you know, what I've seen is in terms of his performances early on in the year, he played against a strong team in Warrington, definitely held his hands up, held his own in that game, scored a nice try against Wakefield. He's got some good awareness about him, knows where to be on the field. But the key for us this week will be to simplify his role and yeah, just let him play what he sees and let him go.
Well, with the troops dropping like flies, have you got your eyes on anyone else coming in to ease the situation somewhat?
Well, that's maybe we will have to look at you know, what's out there. There's no doubt, because the situation that we're in and the ability that you can do that in our competition, we'll definitely look at what's available. So yeah, the short answer is yes, mate. We don't have anyone at this stage. It's 100% coming in, but we're certainly looking, because we're in a position now that we need to. You know, we've got guys internally that need to, you know, they're getting communicated to regularly around where they're at and what they need to do if they're not in the team. But obviously those guys will be pushing first. But we'll certainly look at some you know, opportunities outside as well.
What about bringing people in from the outer, from the reserves and the academy? Is that an option? Are you looking at that this weekend?
Look, it's always an option, because the way we want to operate is you want to look at within first. The best model is having as many juniors as possible, and then bringing in who you need to bring in terms of whether that's at marquee level or whether that's at a lower level. You always want to develop within first. So that's what we'll do. But I've also said at the start of the year, mate, we won't just hand jerseys out for the sake of it. It needs to be earned. And each player in our organisation knows where they're at. It's not new to them to go, well, I should be next because I'm next in line. They know where they're at, what they need to work on, what they're doing well as well, and what their strengths are. So, we want to look within first. There's no doubt about that. So we just need to make sure that players are ready to go because, the way we pick our teams and make decisions is based around what they do in reserves. It's based around what they do in academy, but it's also the way we train is it's based around that as well. So,
it's performance related then, isn't it?
It is, mate. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that was no secret, that was told to the players the first day that I got here that, training is around about performance, that we need to set really high standards with our training. And then, as individuals, we're judged on that. You're going to have good days, you're going to have poor days, but as long as we're doing things, we're competing all the time and showing that we care, a high level of care to get better. That's how we based our decisions.
You've already signed 2 players for next year in Oliver Gildart and Petter Hiku. Is there a possibility that you could get those players earlier? Because, boy, you could do with them, couldn't you?
We certainly could. To be honest, we're not looking down that track at this stage. I think for the individuals that are coming over next year, for them to finish their season, with their clubs, unless they reached out to us to go, I want to come now, we'd certainly look at that, of course. But I just think, if someone like Petter Hiku is playing at the moment, Oliver Gildart's playing really well in the Queensland Cup, and he's pushing, and he still has aspirations. He wants to finish off what he started there, and although he hasn't played the amount of games he would have liked, he's still playing at a decent level. But he's still got, to set high goals for himself around how many games he wants to play, which I admire. He's there to finish a job and wants to finish that. So at this stage, no. I mean, who knows what could happen down the track, but
certainly worth asking of the 2 clubs that they're at. Would they be prepared to release them early? You don't ask a question, you don't get an answer, do you?
No, that's right. Well, the problem is, mate, at the moment would be quota spot. So Petter's, a quota player. So Oliver's probably the one that we could go to. But as I say, at this stage, he's still got some aspirations there to play more first or to play NRL. So that's what he's striving to do, mate. But if he came to us and said, "Look, I'm ready to get on a plane," I'm not going to say no to that either.
I should think you wouldn't. Let's turn to the game then. And it's not just any old game, it's the Challenge Cup. And I know that you have a love affair with the Challenge Cup. But certainly the predicament that you're in at the moment with regards to selection and who's out, it looks to be tougher than perhaps it might have been.
With our selection?
Yeah.
Look, mate, we're in a situation now. We've always said it. We're going to go through some tough times, and we're certainly going through that now. But we're still going to fill the team this weekend. 17 players that we believe we can win this game. We're back at home. We're playing in front of our crowd again, our home fans again, who have been outstanding. Traveling to Newcastle, traveling over to the south of France. And we put in a disappointing performance. Salford, even though we're 10 points, we weren't happy with that. And then last week's performance, after 30 minutes, we went through some chaos and adversity and all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't a whole KR performance that we've seen. So we're ready to do that again. We need to go back to what works for us and put in that 80-minute performance that we know we're capable of. And the 17 plays that we picked this week, there's no doubt we're going out to win this game. It's regardless of the situation we're in, like you say, mate, the Challenge Cup's it's a special competition, a lot of history, and we want to do it proud by going out and putting in a good performance.
But you're coming up against a side that are probably one of the form teams, along with the Lee Leopards in the competition. and there's no doubt about it that they are a good, expansive side who can hurt you if you don't get the basics right.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely they are. So, with Salford, we played them a couple of weeks ago. They're a team that they're going to play expansive. If you think that they're going to take a carry, they're moving the ball. If you think they're going to move the ball, they'll take a short side. Like they're going to hit you in every position in the park in terms of the way they play their game. They're really expansive. They play a chaotic style. I've said that before, but they're well coached. The players know their role. They've kept the core group of their spine together. I know their hookers out at the moment, but their halves and fullback are doing a great job for them. As I said the other week, their middles do a good job for them as well. So they are a very, very good team, and they deserve to be sitting where they are. So it makes the opportunity for us even more exciting because coming back home, if we can do a job and win this game this weekend, we know we've earned it because we're playing against a good team.
So how do you stop them? I mean, you've spoken about them being chaotic, and you don't quite know what you're going to get from them. They can go down the middle, or they can chuck it wide to Ken Seo and Joe Burgess and people like that. It sounds easy to come up with a game plan that will stop them, but it's easier to say than do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is, especially if it sticks for them. If everything sticks, they're a tough team to play against. There's no doubt. I mean, you mentioned Lee Leverts as well. They play a really exciting brand of rugby, and probably Salford's the leaders in it because they'll throw shape, they'll throw rugby at you from anywhere on the field, literally. So it means, how do you stop it? It means that you need to be aware of what's in front of you, and you need to work hard for each other, and you can't stop. As soon as you take a breath and stop, they'll get you. There's no doubt about that. So they're a side that likes space. They like time. So you need to take that away. Their halves like to have space and time. And, watching the game last week, they scored some nice tries, but they had too much time. So we definitely need to take away, the time that their halves and their spine have, which will help us then be able to handle what's out wide.
Well, I look at them and, I think that, for you to beat them, you're probably going to have to score 3 or 4 tries yourself. So that is the point where you have to make them worry about what you can throw at them, rather than overemphasize the fact that they're a good side and they're going to throw stuff at you.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So like we do every week, I will always respect the opposition. We game plan, we look at what their trends are, we look at their strengths, and we look at areas that we can expose. So we've done that again this week, but we'll always turn to us, in terms of what other opposition teams have to stop us. So, we haven't got our end right the last couple of weeks. Therefore, you fall short in terms of the result. So for us this week, it's about going back to being us and being in control of what we can control and what we're good at. So, we've spoken about effort all year. We've spoken about competing, and there's all levels of that. When we went on a good run, sure, we had some, players who were injured playing in this team, but we also had players that were looking for an opportunity, not playing as well, who we know can do the job. So this week it presents an opportunity for these guys that have been waiting for that opportunity. Now it's about going back to doing what we do well. That's competing hard. That's working hard for each other. But we need to do a little bit more than what we've done with the ball as well. We started to, when you go through, adversity, you lose players, you can start to lock up a little bit. We just need to open up. We need to, as I say, just relax, open up a little and play a bit more, take some risks, because it's not about, we don't want to be conservative. We want to ask questions as well. Salford ask a lot of questions. I think if you start, asking questions yourself, then you find yourself in better field position, and you start to get your one-on-ones, or things start to happen a little bit more for you. But take some risks, but be smart about it as well.
Well, you can't die wondering, because if you lose, you're out, and that's the end of the Challenge Cup for this year. So it's muck and nettles, as they say in this part. There's no point in dying wondering, is there?
Absolutely, mate. That's any game you want to go out and you want to throw everything into it, and like you say, this is a game of a lose or out. So if we win, then you're on one game from Wembley. So there's so much to play for. As I say, look, doesn't matter what the position we're in, who's playing, who's not playing. It's the 17 that take the field this week are going out to win this game, and that's what we're about. We're not going to, we're not going to just fall away. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep pushing through. That's who we are.
Can I just talk to you about one person who is bound to have got a lot of confidence from the magnificent try he scored last week, and that's Corey Hall. He must get a lot of confidence from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey's, he started off extremely well the first couple of games, and then probably lost a bit of confidence and just coming up with some errors. But the thing with Corey, we need to, he's going to come up with errors. He's going to come up with the wrong decision in defence. Like, he's only young, he's only 20 years of age. So,
but it was a try, wasn't it? That was a try.
No, that's what I'm getting at, mate. Absolutely. For him to be able to do that, 50, 60-metre try, and that's who he is, So as much as we need to understand when a young kid's going to come up with errors and wrong decisions, but we're also going to get that as well. So, for Corey over the next couple of years, it's just combining it together and minimising the other side. But he just that'll give him belief, mate, because he's a young kid who I believe's got a massive future ahead of him, and that'll give him some strong belief.
One final question to you then, Willie, and we seem to have written a book here. How much store do you put in the Challenge Cup this year?
How much, sorry, mate?
How much emphasis are you putting on the Challenge Cup this year?
Every game we put a lot of emphasis in, mate. So we want to win competitions. There's no doubt. So we want to win this weekend, and we want to go as far as what we can go. That's the reality of it. So if the week after against Wakefield comes another challenge, and it's another Super League game, and we want to win that as well. So it doesn't matter what we're playing, whether it's Super League or Challenge Cup, you want to go as far as you can go. So that's our aim. We're back at home this week. Our aim is to go as far as we can get, see where that takes us.
Willie, thank you very much as always. Honesty, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Gwilym. Cheers, mate.
Hi, Willie. All right.
Hey, Joe. Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good, sir. Just a quick one from me. Like you said, Gwilym covered it all. Is Tom back this week? Tom Opacek?
Yes, mate. Yeah, Tom's back. So he spent the week in Australia with his boy, which is good, mate. Had much needed time there to see him, and he's back with a smile on his face. So it's good to see. Yeah,
I was going to say that'll do him the world of good, and for you guys as well. Probably the best time for him to come back because he'll give you a big boost.
Yeah, definitely, mate. He said when he got back, it was what he needed. And the good thing is his young fella's come back with him now. So it's it'd be nice for Tom to spend some time with him for the next 5 weeks. So it's good to see him smiling, mate. That's the main thing.
Perfect. See you Saturday, mate. Best of luck.
Thanks, cheers, mate.
Oh, hi, Willie. It's Martin Sadler here.
Hey, Martin. How you doing, mate?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Your new French kid must be, think he's still in the south of France, mustn't he, in this weather?
Yeah, he brought the weather over with him, didn't he?
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Just a quick thing on Ollie Gildart. Why do you think he's not getting in the Dolphins team? Because they started the season great, as you obviously know, and that they've run into one or two problems with injuries, and they had a really bad result last weekend against Manly. I keep looking at their squad and thinking he's going to be in it, and he never seems to be. He's playing for the Central Queensland Capras every week, and as you say, probably playing well for them, but he wants to be in their side. Have you any idea what's preventing him from getting in, what their concern with him is?
The honest answer is no, I don't, mate. Obviously, I speak to, I've spoken to him, but I haven't sort of gone in around that. Speaking to his management, they think that he's, should be in, obviously. But I don't know a lot, mate, to be honest. So I don't know why he's not in.
You've not spoken to Wayne Bennett about it?
No, I haven't, mate. I want Wayne to release him. So
yeah, no. But you definitely, if Ollie was on the phone tomorrow saying, "Can I come in?" you'd snap his hand off, presumably.
Oh, look, no, to be honest, but I'd have to have a look at it all because you got to look at all the pieces, financial.
Yeah, the salary cap implications.
Yeah. So the honest answer, like if it worked, of course, we'd like to get him over. But I think for Ollie as well, to finish what he's doing there is important, and that's what he's doing at the moment. If he can get another opportunity in the NRL, it'd be even better for him for next year. But the position we're in, of course, like if we're going to be looking for players, and if Ollie rang us up and said, yeah, I'm ready to come back, then, and we can make it work, of course we'd make it work.
Can I just ask about Jack Walker? He was another who got a HIA at the weekend, and obviously he'll be missing this week. I mean, is he okay though? Because I mean, he's had an unfortunate history of injuries that have hampered his progress as a player.
Yeah, he's okay, mate. So he's going through the protocols at the moment.
But no worries about him.
No, he's fine. He's been sitting in the sun today and smiling, and so
right.
So no, obviously he's had that knock, mate. But you know, it was good. It was good to have him in the team, bouncing around, and it's unfortunate that he got injured. I know he's you know, he's had a history of some injuries there, but you know, unfortunately that was just a head knock, which yeah, as I say, it was unfortunate for him.
Yeah, just looking at the game tomorrow night. Saturday. Obviously, Salford's their great strength is their spine. You know, they're very creative, and you know, with Sneed and Brodie Croft, they've also got Brearley chiming in at full back and making. I've not looked at the stats, but I would imagine Brearley must be pretty high on clean breaks in any Super League table. That's going to take some defending against, isn't it? You know, and you've also got Sneedy who can pop over a 40-20 at any time. It's quite a challenge for your guys to work out a good defensive system against that sort of creative play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they ask a lot of questions. They throw nice shape at you. They're a team that, as I say, you might think that they're going to go through the middle, but then they'll pull the trigger and play out the back and hit the far edge, or you might think the ball's going away and then they come down a little short side. So the only way to defend it is everyone doing their job. You can't take a breath, you can't switch off, and you need to, as I say, take away their time, because if you give them too much time, their attack is very good and it's very slick. So they'll take advantage of that. If you take away their time and then you get up and you can put them under a bit of pressure, that's when, you know, like anyone, they start to come up with some errors, and you know, their plays aren't as slick as what they would normally be.
It's a really interesting challenge for your two young halfbacks, Lewis and Milnes, this week against Croft and Sneed, who are so experienced. That if they can pass this test, it'll give you a massive boost in confidence in those two players, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, Mikey's one, mate, that he's growing all the time. He's had to take on a lot of responsibility over the last few weeks, a number of weeks since obviously Jordan's out and Rowan, did his wrist as well. So, Mikey's that sort of play. He's not meant to be that game management type player. He's not meant to be the main organizer, but he has been, and he's done a wonderful job, or the best job he can do. So bringing Rowan back is certainly going to help and take some pressure off Mikey, and that was the case last week. And we're hanging in there early when Jorb was on the field, and then he went off, and obviously it does cause disruption within the team. But Mikey's doing his best, and his best rugby is when he can sit back, eyes up, and just watch what's in front, and then take opportunities when he sees it. Where at the moment he's had to be that game manager. So coming up against two quality halves in Sneed and Croft is a great opportunity for Rowan and Mikey, and there's no doubt that they'll get a lot of confidence because we believe in them as staff, but they'll get more belief out of themselves. Putting in a good performance and getting the boys to a win this week, there's no doubt they'd be coming off and quite happy with themselves.
Can I just ask one final question on a more general nature? You had a terrible time at the weekend with injuries, and it I think there's no doubt it affected the scoreline, if not the result of the game. But at the moment, you can name 18 players, but the 18th can only come on in quite restricted circumstances connected to HIAs. Do you think there's a strong case now for saying there ought to be 5 substitutes who can come on at any time? Because we're getting a lot of games now where a lot of injuries are being picked up, really, which are influencing the outcome of games. And the way I see it, it would probably be better now if we just went into every game with 5 substitutes that are interchangeable at any time.
So is that without injuries, or do you
just at any time? I mean, we initially I mean, at one time in the past, there were no substitutes. Then we moved to 2 substitutes just for injuries. Then it was made 2 substitutes at any time. Then it went to 4. Now it's gone to 5, but only in very restricted circumstances. Isn't there an argument for saying, let's make it 5, but, you know, open it to any?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good case for both. I mean, obviously player welfare and that type of thing comes first. So if it was going to be around that, then definitely I'd suggest the 5. But I also like the element of, you know, 4 subs and then keeping the fatigue in the game in terms of, you know, so then it can open it up a little bit for the senior guys to be able to do their thing. Because then you go back to stages where I suppose if you still only got 8 interchanges, but yeah, back in the day when it was unlimited interchange, it was just big men coming off and on.
Yes, yeah.
I know you're not suggesting that because I know it's, you know,
No.
5, but for me, I'm happy with the 4, but I think there's no doubt there needs to be opportunities to use the 18th man, when you need to around injuries. So I'm comfortable with the 4, but yeah, we just need to have a look at, I suppose, when that extra one can be used.